Hey guys, today we want to talk about the upcoming Cities Skylines 2. After more than 8 years, Paradox finally announced the new part and even released a trailer, which you can find in the description. At the moment, there is not too much to report because you can hardly find anything in the trailer and the official posts from Paradox, except the upcoming seasons. So for now, I will only give my personal wishes for the successor of one of the best city builders of all times. The first thing that comes to mind is, of course, the most obvious one: better graphics. The first part of Cities Skylines came out in 2015 and had pretty good graphics for that time. But today, with the newer graphic cards and console generations, there is much more to get in the graphic area. New effects like ray tracing and 4K textures would therefore be quite possible for the upcoming hit. Thanks to the higher processor performance, a significantly larger number of inhabitants in a city could now also be possible. Previously, this was not possible, because the daily routine of each inhabitant was calculated, and that required quite a bit of processing power. The game was also not designed to have a particularly high number of inhabitants. For these reasons, the game usually starts lagging when the number of inhabitants reaches 100,000. Thanks to the new processing power, cities with up to 1 million inhabitants might now be possible. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in more content and information about Cities Skylines 2 or Cities Skylines 1, you can subscribe to the channel and also like the video. But not only the number of inhabitants should be bigger, also the maps should be bigger and maybe play in even more different regions in the world. I mean, how cool would it be to build a city in mountainous Norway or in the outback of Australia? Of course, it would also be nice if each region had its own style of buildings. At least it would be nice to have more than 2 like in the first part. The seasons in the different regions could then also adapt to the corresponding region. For example, winter in Norway would be particularly strong, while in the outback it wouldn't be noticeable at all. While we're on the subject of seasons, I would also find it pretty cool if there would be festivals like Christmas, with small temporary bonuses with the seasons. At Christmas, for example, the revenue of the commercial zones could increase, as people would then buy gifts. Maybe one of the most desired features of the first part will come: a multiplayer mode in which you can finally build a city with your friends. There were already a few mods in the first part, but they never really lasted long because they stopped working after almost every update. So how cool would it be to finally be able to play with your friends in Cities Skylines 2? But there should also be a new element for the infrastructure. I would think of the mobile network with radio masts with different ranges and reception levels, as well as internet cables under the streets. The internet cables could then be placed freely like the water pipes, and that again, as with mobile communications with different strength levels. So you would have to make sure to reinforce the internet cables when you populate an area more densely. It would also be more realistic to include this in the game because in real life you also have to place radio masts and internet cables. The most important thing for the players, however, will be that the traffic AI of the inhabitants should be desperately improved. In Cities Skylines 1, it is already good, but after a certain number of inhabitants, it starts to work worse and worse, which eventually leads to the fact that your city dies of a traffic heart attack, or you spend several hours working on a new traffic system for the city. But I'm convinced that, fortunately, this will soon be a thing of the past, and in Cities Skylines 2, the traffic finding of the inhabitants will be much better, and that even at higher numbers. The game should also focus on having important content from the best DLCs of the previous game right from the start. Customizable parks like in the Park Life DLC, and a few natural disasters like in the Natural Disasters DLC would be good examples here. At least some of the DLC content should be in the new game at release, otherwise it could seem relatively lacking in content compared to the first part. The problem will already be anyway that everyone will compare Cities Skylines 2 at release with the current form of Cities Skylines 1. And of course, the predecessor with all its DLCs will have more content. So the biggest competition for the successor might be the predecessor. However, I am sure that Paradox has already considered this in the development, and therefore already intrigued some features of the first part in the successor. So that's it with my wishes and hopes for Cities Skylines 2, but what about you? What do you think Cities Skylines 2 needs? Do you think my wishes are good, or do you think they are not good for the game? What would you like to see in the sequel? Write it in the comments below. I would be very happy to hear your opinion. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.